Let's get ready to rumble!
Hey guys, so ICE has been getting bit at by the Democrats. There's a hearing because of all the stuff that's going on, and the Democrats have had their time to question. And so what we're gonna do is listen to some of these Democrats question ICE. Yeah, let's see how they do, man. Let's see how they do. Let's see this one.
And you don't seem to care. So, Mr. Lyons, I've heard my colleagues ask many questions over and over again, and you cannot answer them. So let me ask you some questions that you may be able to answer. Mr. Lyons, do you consider yourself a religious man?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yes. Okay, well, how do you think Judgment Day will work for you with so much blood on your hands?
I'm not going to entertain that question.
Oh, okay, of course not. Do you think you're going to hell, Mr. Lyons?
I'm not going to entertain.
Of course not. How many?
So we're talking about ICE, and the woman said, "Are you going to go to hell?" Yeah.
The gentlelady will suspend. The gentlelady will suspend.
Chairman?
A gentlelady will suspend. As I said, the issues we're debating here are important to ones that members feel deeply about.
Thank you.
While vigorous disagreement is part of the legislative process, members are reminded.
They're there to ask questions about ICE tactics, the ICE procedures, the guidelines, what they think about just the overall thing about what happened with Renee Good and Alex Purdy. And this woman says, on Judgment Day, how do you think you're going to deal with it? I'd have been like, I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm good. Why? I didn't kill them. I didn't. What do you want me to do about it? I didn't know this was a religious question. I didn't know this was a religious hearing. What you mean if I'm going to go to hell? Focus on the, you see what I'm saying? But these are the same people that would be like, oh, Christian nationalists. Oh, they're trying to invoke Jesus and everything. My girl just brought up hell and Judgment Day. Like, if the first thing Jesus is gonna do is gonna be like, yo, my boy, did you think you were a good ICE agent? Because that apparently is so important to Jesus, right? Or how well of an ICE director were you? Do you think that you trained your ICE members, all the ICE patrol officers, right? Do you think the office? What is she on? What is this woman talking about? This woman's crazy. And that's just one, guys. One. Now, the one I want to listen to is Miss Ramirez, right? Miss Ramirez, she comes on here, right here. Miss Ramirez. Let's see what Miss Ramirez has to say about ICE.
To look evil in the eye.
Let me go back a little bit.
5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Chairman.
Okay.
My mother, a Guatemalan immigrant and an American, taught me that I have the responsibility to look evil in the eye and to fight it back.
She's looking at them, apparently.
Mr. Lyon, Mr. Scott, Mr. Edlow, you have used your power to perpetrate great evil. And it's about time you answer this committee for the lawlessness that you've empowered and defended in your testimony. Mr. Lyons, I want to start with you. And I want to talk about ICE. Because under your leadership, ICE has shot and killed Silverio Villegas Gonzalez.
She couldn't wait to say that name. She couldn't wait to say that one.
Violated nearly 100 court orders in January alone. You've used banned chokeholds in more than 40 cases, engaged in warrantless arrest despite of a consent decree, and you used children as bait to put 3,800 children in detention. You created traps for people at immigration court who were following the law and doing it the legal way. And you broke the law by entering into people's homes without a judicial warrant in violation of the Fourth Amendment. Now, let's talk about you, Mr. Scott, and CBP next. Under your leadership, CBP has attempted to execute Marimar Martinez, shooting her 5 times and not releasing the footage that you should release so that we can see the evidence.
Is it under investigation?
Murdered Alex Purdy, used chemical agents dozens of times in Chicago after a judge ordered you to stop, conducted warrantless surveillance and racial profiling, and acted with total disrespect and disregard for the law while engaging in roving patrols, plate switching, dangerous traffic maneuvers, and observer intimidation. Again, criminals act with that total disregard for the law, and we continue to see it. You would both have us talk about respect for your mission and your agents. But your agencies are unaccountable, paramilitary forces, and I have just as much respect for you as I do for the last white men who put on masks to terrorize communities of color.
Ms. Ramirez, I'm going to say this with all due respect because I'm a fellow Hispanic person. Shut the hell up, bro. Just shut the hell up. What are you talking about? Everything is a talking point. Even then, paramilitary. That's the same gimmick that I've been hearing about. ICE is Trump's personal paramilitary, his personal army. And then the Ku Klux Klan. They're all white racists. All I hear Ms. Ramirez say is the same exact bullshit I hear. The same. But she's Hispanic, and she should know that there was a big jump in how many Hispanic people voted for Trump. Not only that, but that Hispanic people actually in favor immigration policies that are strong on the border and strong on deportations. Ms. Ramirez is just trying to sympathize with the Hispanic people that are probably not legally here, right? And notice how she loves to say those Spanish names with the accent because she's trying to make sure that her people know, soy uno de ustedes, yo soy uno de ustedes. Estoy aquí para defender las personas. Please, bro. Not all Spanish people are stupid like this, bro. Chill out.
I have no respect for the inheritors of the clanhood and the slave patrol.
Slave patrol and clanhood. Slave patrol and clanhood. What the hell are you talking about? There's no Ku Klux Klans in Guatemala. There's no slave patrol in Guatemala. What is this woman talking about? Republicans have the same issue like Democrats. They hear one thing and they stick to it. They're Klan members, they're slave patrols, the Gestapos, the Nazis, the SS. These jokers, Hitler had his personal SS, so Trump has ICE. These same people, and that's the same shit you hear there. Talking points, straight talking points, nothing else.
Those activities were immoral then and criminal, and so are yours.
But does she have the audacity to call the people that they're apprehending criminals? Does she have the audacity to do that?
And that brings me to you, Mr. Edlow, and USCIS. Truly, USCIS is the most disappointing part of this whole panel for me. Mr. Edlow, let me ask you a question. Is USCIS's mission to uphold America's promise as a nation of welcome and possibility with fairness, integrity, and respect for all we serve? Yes or no? Is that the mission?
Okay, so
Is that the mission? I don't know. Let's see what he says, bro. Sorry about the ads. You know these people, man.
Congresswoman, the mission is to administer the lawful immigration
Okay, so
system.
let me move on. So it is not for the possibility of fairness, integrity, and respect. I get that. I want to tell you about Stephen, my constituent, Mr. Edlow. Stephen is a 14-year-old with autism who is seeking asylum. This child has spent 60 days in detention center after he was detained with his dad at a check-in. Let me ask you this. What kind of agency would strip asylum protections from children, even those with pending asylum claims, and deport minors without due process? You don't have to answer that.
Why? Why can't they answer it? Why? People would like to know what is the process of grabbing asylum. Is it? And by the way, if it's just a kid that's if it's just a kid that's getting asylum, is the father also getting asylum? Is he also capable of getting asylum? Did ICE grab the father? And because they didn't want to separate both of them, they took both of them, even though they understand that the kid is going after asylum since he's still pending an asylum. Why didn't she let him answer that? This is the dumbest shit. This is the thing I hate about these freaking earrings, bro. If you're going to ask a question, that's actually not a rhetorical question. That literally is not a rhetorical question. That's an actual, why did you round up the kid who's pending asylum? Why did you round him up? That would have been a good place where either of the three men could have answered the question, right? Because I'm sure one of them had to know the answer to that question. But again, Ms. Ramirez right, only wants brownie points. She wants to be seen as estoy protegiendo a las personas. I'm here fighting for the Latin people. I'm here to fight for the minority. What out of
It's
here.
your agency, Mr. Edlo. You are doing that to Stephen, my constituent, an 8th grader. You have abandoned the mission and allowed USCIS to become a tool in DHS's abusive enforcement apparatus, Mr. Edlo. It is shameful to see what USCIS has become. As I've said before, DHS, ICE, and CBP, they're not really rogue. Congress designed DHS to violate our rights under the pretense of securing our safety.
Hey, and you know what's funny? Look behind Miss Ramirez. I got 1, 2, 3. I got Latin women, all or maybe 2 Latin women, and maybe like a minority right here, like a black girl. Look, who's a racist now, bro? Huh? Racist.
I'm gonna say it loud and clear, and I'm proud to stand by what I say. DHS cannot be reformed. It must be dismantled and something new must take its place. Because if we let DHS persist, it will continue to be a weapon that can be pointed at anyone the government considers the public enemy. And
Right. The public enemy of ICE, right, is illegal immigrants. Because the point of the formation of ICE, right? What I'm guessing is to apprehend illegals that are not supposed to be in this country. So their primary target is the illegals that don't belong here. She said it can't be reformed. It has to be taken down and something new in its place. What's going to be in its place, Ms. Ramirez? How are you going to enforce the laws? Oh, wait, you don't want to. You don't want to. I would like to ask Ms. Ramirez this, right? Because her mom is from Guatemala. I want to know, because I know this from experience. My parents are from Honduras. I get told stories about how corrupt Honduras is. I get told about the environment. I get told about how the gangs and Honduras is just one of many countries in Central America. Guatemala is there. Guatemala also has to deal with gangs and corruption and politicians. Ms. Ramirez, how does Guatemala enforce its immigration policies? How? Because I'm pretty sure that in Honduras or in Guatemala, El Salvador, Nicaragua, they don't have Hondureños or Nicaraguenses crawling into Honduras or into each of these countries, right? I'm sure that if a Honduran goes into Guatemala and they're not supposed to be there, I'm sure Guatemala deports them back. Mexico does that all the time. Mexico deports Central Americans back to the countries who don't belong in Mexico. This is a straight given. It happens. Mexico also has immigration policies. All the countries in Central and South America have their own immigration policies. What they like to say is, because everybody wants to flock to the United States and come up here, they think that, oh, we should just get everybody to come here. But why is it never the reverse? Why? I'm sure that all of these people in Honduras, Brazil, and every other thing, they would not like a huge amount of foreigners to come into their country and then change the dynamic of that country. Because being a Guatemalteco and being a Nicaraguense and being a Salvadoreño is unique to those people. So to have, imagine if a whole bunch of Americans would just flock into these countries and then change systematically. These people, these are the presidents, like the president of Colombia, the president of Brazil, that hate. They'll be like, oh, American imperialism, American nationalism. We don't want it here. We don't want to be like America. We don't want them infiltrating our politics. But Ms. Ramirez no tiene problema. She got no problem having other people from other countries come into our politics, into our system, and just completely changing it up. But our own people, right? The Spanish people, they don't want Americans to change their way of life. They don't want our system. They don't want our type of culture to infiltrate them, to change them. But Ramirez has no problem the reverse happening. Ms. Ramirez's mom is from Guatemala, so she would know she could tell her story. I know she told her stories about how trash or how hard it was to live in Guatemala, because I hear it from my parents several times over and over again. just recently, the Honduras president, they had to wait over what, a month or so after the elections because the dude didn't want to give up his power. The communist president didn't want to give up his powers. I had people. My mom was telling me, my dad was telling me about how bad it was under that president. So what is she going to put into place that is going to be fair, just? Because you can't just let everyone into this country. What is she going to do? Let the whole of Central America flock into the United States? It would overwhelm us, period. It would overwhelm us. But Ramirez has no priority to America. She's more about el voto latino. I want my el voto latino. I'm fighting for Latinos and Latinas everywhere.
Let me tell you, fascism always requires a public enemy.
Fascism! Bro, she knows the corruption down in Central America. What is she on, bro?
But the power of the people is stronger than the weapons they would wield against us. So Mr. Lyons, Mr. Scott, Mr. Edlow, you have weaponized the government. You have supported a fascist enterprise at the expense of our constitutional rights. You have violated the law. But let me remind you, you will not always be in power. One day, you will be held accountable for your role in this dark moment in America and our nation's history. I guarantee it. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
What dark moment? What dark moment? We have 4 years of the other administration not giving shits about how many people crossed the border. Where were you, Ms. Ramirez? Because I swear to God, I'm going to pull up to see how much of this Constitution. You want to throw the Constitution to the American people, right? You have no problem throwing it to American citizens, but the people that come to this country illegally, who don't give a shit about this country, you can't throw the Constitution because they don't give a shit about it. But where were you, Ms. Ramirez? Last 4 years. Where were you, bro? No, es que no miro nada, no miro nada, no miro nada. No immigration. There was no immigrants in Biden's office. But now that Trump has to enforce it. I want to know if there was ever a Hispanic president and the Spanish president said, I'm going to enforce immigration in the United States. I want to make sure that our people are safe. And when I mean our people, I mean Americans. I wonder if she would fight off or she would call me a traitor. Would she call me a traitor for saying we need to enforce immigration laws? Because that's the play, everybody. That's the play these people do. Don Lemons, everything's racist. They hate black people. They hate gay people. That's why they got me as a journalist. Crockett, this is racism. White liberals, it's racist. Trump is racist. ICE is racist. Everything is racist. They don't want to deal with the reality, bro. So if I'm sitting here saying I support immigration policies that protect Americans, but we need to enforce them, and ICE is the vehicle that's how we enforce the laws, so be it. But Ms. Ramirez here will call me a racist. She would call me a racist. I don't know, guys. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about ICE? Right? Should we have ICE? How would you reform ICE? Would you abolish ICE? And what would you put in its place anyways? Would you put another type of ICE? And how would you enforce immigration laws? These people don't have the answers to that. They just don't like the fact that immigration policies are being actually now carried out. That this administration, whether you like it or not, is enforcing immigration laws. So it is what it is. But guys, let me know what you think about these hearings, and let me know what's your thoughts on ICE overall, and what would you do to change ICE if you had a chance. But yeah, let me know, guys, and I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Peace.